What's going on, guys? I am back with another Hat format replay review. This is going to be a match that took place, I believe it was a semifinals match in the most recent H.A.T Elimination 16 that had just wrapped up not too long ago. I did a tournament review video if you guys are interested in which decks actually entered and all the little logistics of that event, which I will have that video linked in the description. As well as in the description, you can find out all the information on how you can actually send me your Hat format gameplay replays if you want the chance for me to actually go and review it and show it off on this channel. But without further ado, let's get into this match. Here we have Molson Canadian on the bottom playing, I believe, H.A.T versus Lodger. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. It should be simple, but I am just awful at pronunciation. And they are, I believe, on Cat, so the card car artifact trap tricks deck. And let's see how this goes. So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Molson Canadian wins and will be going first. Opening hands, Molson opens Ignition, Fire Hand, Duality, Warning, Fire Hand, and Logger opens Dark Hole, Max C, Mermail, Soul Charge, and Card D. So solid to see the Max C in the opener from the opponent going second, as well as, they then will have the option of Card versus Mermail. Not a lot of back row from them. It'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. And so anyways, Molson will draw for turn, finds a copy of Bottomless, starts their turn with Duality, which makes sense, finds Ignition, Debunk, and Mermail. Molson was main decking the Debunks, which is kind of unique. I talked about that at the for the review of the last event that he brought this deck to, but let's see what he takes here. It is a tough choice. You see him talking on the side there. He takes a copy of Ignition, trying to get into those artifacts as quickly as possible. Having a lot of advantage in this specific matchup because the hands are really good against Cat, whereas Cat kind of sometimes relies on the hand traps part of the deck. Putting back the other two, shuffling it up. From here, let's see, he will shuffle his hands, set a copy of Fire Hand, and he waits a second. Sets the Ignition, Bottomless, and Warning. Passes it over. The opponent finds another copy of Max C. It's kind of weird what you would do here. Because knowing that, Molson is on the hands, you probably want to try to play it safe, but knowing they have Ignition, they might be getting the read that they, Molson opened either a Sanctum or other cards, for example, like one of the artifacts, just to pop it with the Ignition. So it's kind of weird what you would choose to go for. Like Card D is a good option, especially seeing you have no back row and you're not really in a rush, I feel, in this matchup, because this isn't a deck that can just OTK you, though if you summon Card, a lot of times people will let it go through, but at the same time, letting that goes through will put you in a weird position because it's during end phase where the effect will then, it goes right to end phase. So you'd probably have to discard. So interesting. Let's see what they end up doing. They summon Mermail, use the effect, search for Bottomless, set the Bottomless, and main. In the end phase, they go and Ignition the back row, set Moraltech, go for Ignition, set another Moraltech, and pop the other one. Moraltech triggers to summon. Not dropping the Max C there when you have two of them is a little interesting, even if, I guess that would show that they had a second if they dropped it there, but yeah, no, I guess it's interesting. I feel like this deck isn't going to give you the most opportunities to drop Max C unless they start pushing with Fire Hands or Ice Hands. So kind of interesting to see them not drop that there. Go for Moraltech, and then Molson draws for turn, finds a copy of Ice Hand, flips the Fire Hand, summons the Ice Hand, push in for a lot of damage. That Dark Hole is going to go crazy. Main phase 2, overlay for a copy of Rhapsody and Berserk. I always like this play just to get rid of the Mermail in case they did have a Dionea, so they can't bring it back, pop a back row, and make an Xyz. Which is exactly what happens here. Draw for turn. Finding Sanctum is really good here. Stand by main phase. Dark Hole comes down. All of them get destroyed. Sets the Sanctum. Sets the Soul Charge. The reason they're setting Soul Charge here is, one, because 2 of the ignitions are already gone, so you're a little more safe to do that, but also just hiding the Sanctum. Summon Cardcar. That gets hit with a warning. Really tough thing right there, especially, you only have 2 max Cs. You're already in kind of a rough position off of that alone. Molson draws a Compulse for turn, summons the Fire Hand, goes to attack. They take the damage. They're getting real low, only 13. Sets the Compulse and goes to end phase. Lodger, I'm just going to call them L. L finds a copy of Traptrix Trap-Hole Nightmare. Set max C, set the Traptrix Trap-Hole Nightmare, pass turn. Molson finds a copy of Sanctum. Crazy top deck right there. Attacks with Fire Hand, destroys the max C, sets the Sanctum, passes over. L finds Mermail. Okay, at least a monster. Summons. Goes to crash. And Molson will use the Compulse. So what would happen there, for people that don't know, is if they do crash, Firehand won't be able to float because Firehand has to pop a monster in order to summon a Ice Hand. Back to Molson, finds a copy of Debunk. Oh, that's rough in this matchup. Sanctum gets activated, summoning Beagle Tack. It just has the most defense, and obviously you don't want to go Mortal Tack in defense because the Firehand should be able to run over it, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me just double check. Yeah, Firehand would be able to run over the Moral Tack if it was summoned there, as well as you wouldn't want to use the Moral Tack effect to pop the Firehand for the reason I just said. It would be able to float and stuff. So going for Beagle Tack just for the more defense is really good there. Beagle Tack is mandatory, so he has to pop one, so he pops his own Soul Charge. He doesn't really have life to use anyways. Debunk is set, and pass turn. L finds another copy of Sanctum, sets it. Molson finds Mermail, summons Mermail. No effect. Oh, no, he is using the effect for the TTHN. Overlays both. For Ragnazero, H.A.T doesn't have the most options to actually deal with bigger monsters. So, seeing the Ragnazero here is just kind of one of the best ones to go for, not because of its actual effect or anything. Go to battle phase, attack over the Beagle Tack. Well, maybe. Oh, here the Sanctum is activated, summoning Moral Tack. Moral Tack's effect activates. Molson chains Bottomless to get it off the board. Still pops the Ragnazero, sets the Traptrix Trap-Hole Nightmare, and passes. L finds a copy of Duality, so while it is a grind game, they are somewhat well off here. Banishing Ignition, Cardcar, and another Ignition. Let's see what they take. They do take the Ignition, putting back the other 2, shuffling up, summoning Mermail, switches the Beagle Tack to attack just to get in some damage. Sanctum is activated. Here, that second max C will come up. Summoning Moral Tack. They get a draw of Cardcar. Moral Tack activates, or no effect. Oh, okay, yeah, because I think they knew that they had searched for the Traptrix Trap-Hole Nightmare, I believe. I forget if they had searched it. I think so. So no effect, just putting up the body. Molson finds a copy of Call the Haunted. Really good draw there with artifacts in graveyard, or just in the hands, or I believe he even, had Mermail and stuff, so really good draw there. Though he does know that the Ignition's in play. How many artifacts? 1, 2... So there's definitely still artifacts in deck from L. Attacking over the Beagle Tack, because if L is able to make any sort of rank 5, for example, Pleiades, that's really, really good into this situation. Minus, I guess, if he uses it right away for that, but sets the Call the Haunted and pass turn. Finds a copy of Moral Tack, very unfortunate there for L. Summons Cardcar, sets the Moral Tech, switches the Mermail, activates card car, draws Dianea and Warning. So the Warning's dead, but Dianea is very strong. In end phase, Call of the Haunted is activated to summon Mermail. Maybe? Let's see. Yep, Mermail comes down, uses the effect. Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare is activated, but it looks like it's just a scoop there. And here we go. L will go first. So, Molson taking that last game was very important. Let's see. Opening hands from Molson. We see Ice Hand, Sanctum, Ice Hand, Fire Hand, Bottomless. Unfortunate to see multiple hands, especially that many, and not a whole lot else. I guess Sanctum isn't like something to shake a stick at. And L has DD Crow, Beagle Tech, Sanctum, Cycle Reader, which, if you guys don't know, it's basically just a double DD Crow for light monsters and a card car. So really pretty solid hand right here, honestly, especially looking at this. Something that's interesting, though, is I feel that Hat has a better matchup into Cat versus Cat into Hat. And that's just because a lot of times you don't want to set a lot of back row or anything against Cat, because Cat already plays a low count of monsters, and most of them are going to be your artifacts. So just keep that in mind. They draw a second Beagle Tech. So they are on 2. They go card car, set Beagle Tech, set Sanctum, set Beagle Tech. Go for card car effect, finds Double Cyclone and Mermail. Okay, so very good draws there. Pass it over to Molson, who finds Ignition. So really good Ignition plus Sanctum, always. Summon Ice Hand, go to battle phase, attack. They take some damage. Oh, so Molson does choose to play into it a bit and sets the Bottomless and Ignition and Sanctum and pass turn. Oh, in end phase, Sanctum is activated to summon Moral Tech. Interesting if he's going to go for effect here, because if you just pop this, he just clears one of your own back row, which I guess you don't care about because you do have Beagle Tech. But even then, he'll still get a Fire Hand, which I feel Fire Hand would be harder to deal with in this situation. Kind of, I guess they could always just bounce it, but then it plays into if Molson had like a Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare or something. So, yep, Moral Tech is activated. Ice Hand triggers to pop one of the sets, which is a Beagle Tech. Fire Hand is summon. Beagle Tech summons. Beagle Tech is mandatory, so he has to pop his other. So the other Beagle Tech will summon. Now, the popping effect is only once per turn, not the summon, so this was a legal play here that's completely good. Draw for turn, finds a copy of Bottomless. My bad. Let's see what they do. Interesting. I guess they're thinking too. Overlay into Pleiades in defense. That gets hit with Bottomless. Chain the Pleiades to bounce the hand, as I mentioned. Normal Mermail. Search Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare. Set the Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare. Switch the Beagle Tech to attack. Why would you set that first here? That just seems like they're asking to get hit with this Ignition. Swing in. Activate Sanctum. Summon Moral Tech. Interesting not to use this. Maybe he was just reading that this was a bluff, but even then you'd be outing a card, and no, I guess that makes sense. Moral Tech, pop the Trap Tricks Mermail. Main phase 2, set the Bottomless, set the Double Cyclone, pass. Molson finds a copy of Double Cyclone himself, summon Ice Hand, and that's enough for L to just admit defeat. Having Bottomless, so Ice Hand plays around Bottomless. Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare does nothing against the hands that activate Engrave. Double Cyclone isn't going to do anything here because there's no artifacts here, or, you'd be hitting the Ignition, which isn't great. So I feel like he had enough life to at least try to play it out a little bit. But, it felt a little preemptive to just scoop it up there. But alrighty, that is the match. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this video with your friends, leave comments on videos you want to see next or decks you'd like to see gameplay of, and don't forget to send me your hat format replays. All that information is in the video description. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.